This meeting was convened to deliberate on how to enhance alignment of agricultural research and development initiatives in the country to government strategic goals in agriculture, organized under the auspices of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, the FMAT Project Coordination Unit, and the Planning Department of FMAT were the lead focal units in the planning and implementation. IITA, in partnership with the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, were the technical conveners of the event. We have about 80 participants representing the following stakeholder groups: Federal Government, Ogun State Ministry of Agriculture, National Agricultural Research Council, NARIS, universities, CG centers, development partners, farmer associations, private sector. A highly interactive and participatory process was used. What were the objectives? The first objective was to deliberate on the key issue on the importance of aligning research and delivery to government goals. I think we did that quite extensively. The second was for us to share perspectives and contribute towards the development of a framework for aligning research and delivery activities to our country's strategic goals. We've made a lot of progress in that regard. The third was to increase awareness of ongoing initiatives, programs, and work to enhance harmonization and synergy development across the various initiatives. Yesterday was very rich in that context. And I think the point was made that alignment appeared to be, but the lateral element was not quite there yet. So I think that's an area where we need to figure out how to. And then the fourth is to improve targeting of agricultural research, which is done by NAS, CG centers, private sector, etc., through enhancing integration, collaboration, and alignment to the country goals and to the development targets. A number of key issues were identified. There is generally a disconnect between project-level research and development goals and the strategic goals of government in agriculture. They operate at two different levels, and that connection is not always clear. Secondly, institutions and projects are still largely working in silo mode with inadequate integration across projects, sometimes even within the same institution. That was expressed quite a number of times. Goals and objectives of most projects are often not aligned in technical terms with the government strategic goals. We make statements about how we are aligned to certain things, but there is no evidence to show for it. There's no data gathering that shows how we are actually contributing to those specific goals. Even where alignment is achieved, lack of integration is leading to duplication and inefficiencies in resource use. There are often changes in the areas indicated as government priority areas. This makes the task of alignment also quite challenging. Continuing on the key issues identified, major initiatives of donors pay attention to alignment to government policy goals, but often inadequate attention to lateral collaboration among projects. Because when a donor funds a particular project, the focus is that project, and they are assessed by that project. The idea of whether that project is linking to somebody or aligning, etc., becomes a different issue. There is great opportunity for much greater progress to be achieved if institutions worked better together and generate deliverables that are consistently aligned to government strategic goals. Now, key reasons for the present state of what has been discussed is the tendency by institutions to focus on, what they have delivered, their own bit. They all want to talk about, the attribution issue. And I think the point in here is that in this complex world, you can't go it all alone. You contribute to a cause. So we need to put more emphasis into trying to show the contribution that we have made to the kind of vision that we want to see. Secondly, no consequences or incentives within institutions in relation to being aligned or not being aligned. you can still be successful, even if the project you are doing is just a little island on your own laptop. It doesn't go anywhere. You can still be successful. So there's that challenge. No framework or process for ensuring facilitating alignment and integration. And that's what we have started by trying to pull together a framework that helps us to do that. Now, these were areas where yesterday we set up specific working groups on each of them. And I really want to thank and appreciate the working groups for the tremendous work that they did, which was reported this morning. The first group was on data and knowledge management, where we talked about developing a platform for capturing data and managing information and looking at the current scenarios in terms of what bottlenecks are there. The second one related to M&E to facilitate alignment, because these are all critical areas where we feel they have to be in place for proper alignment to happen. The third area is the role of ARCN in this whole process. ARCN as an institutional mechanism for facilitating research alignment across NARS, all over, roles, mechanisms, and action. And then we also had a group looking at ministry-level actions and mechanisms in facilitating agricultural research and development alignment. In that context, we talked of the special role of FMAD in supporting this alignment and also in linking with the other ministries that are relevant for the, within the agriculture space. Private sector was strengthened in so many dimensions. There are specific recommendations that have been made in relation to private sector. The framework and tool for mapping, I've already said something about that. And one of the interesting groups was this group on the pull factor, which was addressing the issue of how do we bring about a culture change within organizations that will entice people, to focus on this alignment issue as part of the crucial way forward. For each of these groups, we have a more detailed, action points which we will not go through here because of time. We also said, moving forward, we got some ideas. FMAD is requested to champion alignment of research and development institutions to government strategic goals. And here we are talking particularly of the APP and the ERGP. They are also requested to establish clarity of roles of relevant ministry departments and establish appropriate technical capacities that can effectively guide partners in the alignment and integration process. We talk particularly of the planning department. And we said the planning department has a key role, and this must be seen as a professional group. It's not just a political group. And so we need to make sure we have key, what did we call them? Professionals in this domain who know what planning is about and how we are moving on in there. And, so there are lots of issues that relate to that. Now, this could also require both financial and technical support. In other words, once it's owned by FMAD. ARCN to take responsibility for promoting, facilitating, and coordinating alignment culture development within the constituent NARIs and the agriculture colleges. Is it the federal agriculture? Yeah. ARCN needs to be strengthened and supported to play this important role. Completion of the ongoing reform and strengthening of ARCN capacity is critical for ARCN to deliver on this role. And we were told that there is a bill which is somersaulting in the system somewhere, and we need to figure out processes that we can use to bring this thing to a conclusion. IITA to continue efforts in building the culture and mechanism for country alignment and systems integration, including supporting the recommended change processes, and to play its lead CGIAR role in facilitating integration and alignment within and among CG centers and other partner institutions in the country. This is because IITA within the CG context was identified to play a focal point role, that is within the CGIAR context, but linking with other groups. And so that role will continue. Next steps continue. Donors and investors, through the Agriculture Donor Working Group, should support the process and research leading to enhanced integration and alignment. Donor-funded projects should be developed with alignment in mind and with budgets in support of alignment activities. We appreciate the existence of this Agriculture Donor Working Group. I think that's what we should first start with. It's very good. They have opened their doors. It's not only donors who are part of that. There are technical institutions, research institutions, FMAT, all kinds of groups are there that are relevant for agriculture, and it's a wonderful platform. So we really, first of all, appreciate that. But the point in here is just to basically get them to own this alignment drive, so that with respect to specific projects that they fund, they can give some flexibility for this alignment to be built within those projects. Now, FMAT, Planning, and PCU, ARCN, and IITA should work together to take responsibility for ensuring implementation of agreements reached at this consultation. I must say, IFPRI should be listed in this category because of the work already done in that regard, and that will basically add value to this process. So it's really just a small subcommittee that will help to carry forward what we're talking about. Specifically and urgently, work out a process through which agricultural research and development institutions working in the country, the CG, NARS, universities, private sector, etc., can be sensitized and facilitated on this whole issue of alignment to the government goals. And once again, we have provided some specific details under the relevant groupings coming from the working group. Now, all stakeholders who participate actively in the sector-wide joint sector review steering committee and joint sector review processes in order to enhance research needs and the sharing of other important information that support the alignment of stakeholder activities to sector goals. But even outside the joint sector review process, I think the first call is to say all stakeholders to take on the commitment of going to their respective domains to drive the agenda of alignment. That is the first key thing before we even get to the role within the... So I think this is the last page. Data and knowledge management. A task force was formed to advance the development of a realistic framework and process for establishing the data and knowledge management instrument. The members will be figured out later. ARCN reform. It came to our attention that a lot of the things we've been saying about ARCN are actually already in the detailed bill or reform process that has already taken place. So we felt the completion of this ongoing reform and strengthening the capacity of ARCN is critical for it to deliver on its alignment and integration role. So we committed to set up a subcommittee, basically the same committee we mentioned before, consisting of FMAT and the leadership of FMAT, I should put it, IFPRI and IITA, to work towards driving the change required in relation to this bill. This group will engage other relevant groups, private sector, IFPRI, any other group that in this process as needed. A further point was made that we should also find mechanisms to find avenues for lobbying. Therefore, appropriate ways in which there can be active lobbying. And that is not restricted to this group. That is really on the bigger profile, because the way things work in the political circle, you can't just develop a paper and sit down. So people must be talking about it. We have to figure out mechanisms in which we can make interventions in those areas. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a quick snapshot of what we have been able to put together. As I've said, we will have a lot more details when we finalize the reports that have been produced by all of you in the context of the working groups.